48 days until kickoff at Arrowhead, where, according to Bucky Brooks, friend of the show on FoxSports.com,
is he?
The third best roster in the NFL hosts the Ravens. Here's Bucky's best roster. Number one. Hold on. You agree with number one?
No, I don't.
All you do is
I don't.
You say they're the Avengers.
I don't.
You ever hear him call the Chiefs the Avengers?
He's in a quandary.
I'm not in a quandary.
Exactly.
Can I just go?
Can
I just go?
Go ahead, but then we're coming back.
Okay, that's fine. You guys say everything you want. Because everything I say about the Niners or about the Eagles or anything is about their rosters 2 through 53. So the question I would ask everyone here, including I like Bucky. Brew doesn't trust him anymore ever since he stole the bud list from him. But I still like Bucky. This is a terrible take. I'm going to present to you a thought experiment. Because here's what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to print out all 32 rosters and the players' names on it. Okay? Yeah. We're going to print them all out. Everyone on the team is on that piece of paper. And then you pick the best team. Because I'm going to pick the one who the first name listed is Patrick Mahomes, and the second name listed is Chris Jones, and then Travis Kelce, and then whomever else. If the goal is to win championships, and it's the best roster, is Patrick Mahomes' name on the roster? So he's included. So I think the Chiefs have the best roster. And the evidence I would present is the last 2 years' playoffs and regular seasons and Super Bowls and all of it. Yeah, they clearly have the best roster. And if you are trying to pick the best roster and you are presented with the option to take the one with Patrick Mahomes, that's the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions, and you're like, no, I'll take a different one, you're wrong and a dope. That's all. That's all.
I don't trust Bucky.
I like Bucky. It's a bad take. Wilds, what roster would you like?
Okay, let me step in here, because I don't have much of a problem with what Bucky put together.
Okay.
All right. Now, the Chiefs have been the best team. You know why? Not because they have the absolute best roster. They had 3 All-Pros last year. 3. San Francisco has 7, and that wasn't even including Nick Bosa. All right, who had a down year.
Why did they win the Super Bowl?
Because of Patrick Mahomes.
Is he on the roster?
But we're talking about the whole roster.
Right, but is
Patrick Mahomes is the greatest player in the league, and it's a nice gap.
Well, then that's
why
team
the
probably
Chiefs
has the best roster.
That's why. No, they don't have the best roster because they got the best player.
But is he on the roster?
He's so great. Like the Bulls, I don't think always had the best roster.
So you would pick
pick
a roster over theirs.
They had Mike. No, I'd pick a roster, yes, but I'd say the Bulls are going to win because of one guy.
But is he on the roster?
I don't agree with your logic. I mean, I'm looking at the entire
roster. I said print the roster.
Okay, the Niners. Arguably one of the best receiving cores in the league.
Yeah.
And when you compare it to the Chiefs, definitely a better receiving core. The best running back in the league.
Yes.
The best left tackle in the league.
Yes.
The best linebacker in the league.
I agree with all of this.
Okay? Yeah. You got the best quarterback.
That's fine. If those two teams played, who do you think would win?
Probably don't have the best.
Probably
we'll see when they play again.
Right, but if you had to pick,
it's
who
close.
would win?
But that's not what it's about. The best you got the best player.
Is
that's
he
what
on
you
the
got.
Wilds?
I don't think I don't like that take.
Josh, can you double check?
Is Patrick Mahomes on the roster?
I think he is.
Okay, then I think then Chiefs have the best roster.
No,
what are we talking about? No. They're the 2-time
We're talking
defending
about depth.
No.
We're talking about a team having 7 All-Pros versus 3.
Wait a moment here. If it said deepest rosters, I would listen to it. If it said most well-rounded rosters, it had none of those qualifiers. It just had the best. And if you are asking me if we are evaluating a team by best, meaning best, how would we determine who the best football team is? Could we have a tournament?
Yeah.
Could we have a tournament annually and see who wins it?
College football does.
Like something like that. If the same team keeps winning it, and we can't say, oh, but they had a major offseason loss, like they're a totally different team, and they're mostly the same team, then I'm going to say that team has the best roster. And you can say it's a top-heavy.
They got the best player.
Okay.
By far.
Bro.
And that's why they keep winning.
Let me just ask a question, to be very honest.
And they got a really good roster.
If none of these teams if they were all team league free agents, and you could just be like, hey, man, you get $1 million if this team wins our football championship at the end of the year. You can have any of these rosters, 1 through 53. Which one would you pick right now?
Look, I get it. They got a very good roster.
Right, but which one
and
would you pick
a
to win
player
that
that is phenomenal.
right,
okay,
which
but
one would
I
you
don't
pick?
look at it that way. I'm looking at it who has the best players overall, and I think the Niners overall have better players slightly because the Chiefs got a really good roster, but they got a guy that takes them over the top.
Is that
that's why he's so great.
No,
maybe I think Mahomes is greater than Nick does.
No, I
think Mahomes is so great he doesn't need the dream team roster, nor does he have it.
I agree, but is if that guy's on the roster?
I know, but I can't have you all
In other words, let's get
exactly.
started.
We only have a 30-minute show.
I got
enough fluff.
Bro, I'm trying to pace myself for next week. I got 10 hours of TV to do. We start with doubting the Bills. They are favored to win the AFC East, but there is a decent amount of skepticism around the team that lost their number one weapon and several captains. But Deion Dawkins is pugilistically optimistic. Take a listen.
We're shooting for the stars. Like everybody is counting us out, which I'm cool with. You know, like we could fly underneath that radar and hit everybody with uppercuts.
Okay. Bills' notable losses this offseason, outside of Stephon. Gabe Davis.
The Gabe Davis one devastates, bro.
Brew loves
That's one of his guys.
I like Gabe.
Yeah, he
I Jordan
really
Poyer. A lot of guys on defense. All right, so oddly, and this is confusing if you're just joining the show, Nick is the biggest Buffalo Bills hater. Are we going to say hater?
Truth teller.
Yeah.
It's not hater. It's not a hater. I've just been correct.
The only one picking them to win the AFC.
Yeah, I've just been correct year over year over year with them. And then we found out yesterday that Brew loves the Jets for the AFC East.
Well,
potentially.
Official picks.
We understand.
You were saying Jay.
But you did a whole thing.
Yesterday.
Wilds is a two-and-on guy. And so, and I now once again somehow get to be correct about the Bills. So I think that when it says doubt around the Bills warranted, I actually think their AFC odds are a touch high in that I would have Houston ahead of them as far as their odds of winning the conference. But if you are doubting whether or not they will win the division, and I think that there are certain folks right now that believe they could finish third because if you believe in the Jets and the Dolphins, they have a lot of warm weather games early in the year. That to me is too much. I think that they have the benefit of clearly playing in the conference's worst division, potentially playing in the league's worst division, depending on what the NFC South ends up looking like as far as from their quarterback play in that spot, but definitively the worst division in the AFC. They still have, even though I think he can be overhyped at times, clearly the best quarterback in that division, and they have the stability of consistent double-digit win seasons that then we know how the story goes. They beat an overmatched opponent in round one, play a true contender in round two, and then lose, but they could have won, and it's very sad. That's the Bills' story. And so, yeah, right now I think they're a little underrated in that regard. They are clearly the best team in the AFC East. And so, yeah, I think doubting whether or not they'll win the division, Brew, is too much. Doubting whether or not they go to the Super Bowl, sure, that's fair.
No, well, that from the moment they let Stephon Diggs go, I've been saying I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender anymore. And then a lot of these other guys too. Their defensive backfield, you say they lose three guys in that, and leaders on that team. Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Leonard Floyd is good for them. Like they lost a lot. The two best receivers, and then the defensive guys. I am not doubt. They're still a playoff contender and a likely playoff team. So that's where my doubt is. But here's what I'm looking at, Nick. First of all, I disagree that it's definitely the worst division in the AFC. Outside of Kansas City, now I do think Harbaugh will do well with the Chargers, but what if the Chargers aren't as good as many people think, and they lost a lot of players? I mean, the Broncos and the Raiders aren't going to be good. So you got the Chiefs, and you might have three non-playoff teams in that division.
That's fair. Some people believe in the Broncos because of Sean Payton, but go ahead. But I understand what you're saying, though. I tend to agree.
No quarterback.
I understand that. Yep.
And then, of course, the West, you got.
Well, the West is my division. But the South.
Yeah, the South. You got Jacksonville.
I think the South is going to. It has
Indy. Okay. I mean, maybe Indy.
And Houston good.
For sure.
Yeah.
But they're going to be okay. But we think the Patriots.
I think you have three playoff contenders in the AFC East.
Yes.
Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets. All right. So, but that said, here's what I'm thinking about the Bills. when their roster was like stacked these last few years, they haven't been able to get it done. All right, and I get it. They can't beat the Chiefs. They lost to them 3 times in the playoffs. But you also lost to Cincinnati at home. Like, they've had opportunities last year when the Chiefs are down and they lose by 3. That was a chance to win, and they couldn't get over the hump. Now I'm supposed to give them the benefit of the doubt when they've lost all these guys? And McDermott is a good coach.